and that caused a massive, massive uproar on social and mass media. And I was the one member of the staff who responded to the uproar and who sort of developed a relationship with some of our fans based on that. And I've been on social media since the mid-90s, both on rec.arts.sf.tv, which some of you may remember, and also now on LiveJournal through the Lost Years, and now on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Facebook. And by the way, you can find me in any one of those platforms under the handle OKBJGM.
Okay, I guess I'm going to start off with things that social media does particularly well. Start off on a positive note.
I think social media is a wonderful thing, and I think a great tool for positive change. I think that, you know, it's amazing how democratized social media has made the interaction between fans and producers. When I was 11 years old, I got this book from Scholastic. You know, you get the little Scholastic catalog in your grade school, and you could order books from it. And it was a sort of very, very badly put together book about television. But I wanted anything I could get about television, and there was a quiz to see how big a TV fan are you. And so one of the things was, your favorite show gets canceled, what do you do? And there were a couple of choices, and they were all sort of funny choices, like you start a religious cult based on the TV show, you know. And the last one was write nasty letters to the network. And I thought, well, that seems sensible, so I selected that. And then I went to the back of the book to look at what points I made for having that answer, and they didn't even address whether that answer got points, which is how badly put together this book was. But I remember thinking how amazing it is that that's how much agency a letter to the network has, in spite of the Star Trek campaign of 1967 and 68. And now, literally, I mean, I talk to fans from other countries, I talk to fans of all ages, and literally anybody with access to a cell phone or a computer can conceivably send me a personal message and ask me a question about a show I work on, or give me feedback, and it's usually very positive. So by and large, I think in spite of the controversies and all of the negativity that can come up in social media, I think it's a wonderful thing that opens the world to a lot of people.
The principal way in which I sort of use the strengths of social media, I do a fair amount of convention running, and the thing that I focus on is working on accessibility at conventions. And there is a Facebook group, Fans for Accessible Conventions, and it's been sort of a great opportunity for people who've been trying to reinvent the wheel in the dark all on their own to talk to other people and say, well, how do you do it at your convention? And to share good ideas and to talk about sort of what works at a small convention. You know, what works at a 300-person convention doesn't necessarily work at a 3,000-person convention. And the opportunity to sit down and share ideas, to also have people who attend conventions with disabilities say, hey, this has been my experience. These are the things that would make things easier for me. Social media has brought a whole lot of people into the same room that I think never would have been able to sit down in the same room and talk before about stuff like that.
For me, the great part about social media is the way you can engage people, get them excited about your convention, and if anybody has a question or a problem, it's a very easy way for them to talk to you. You know, the hotel block is full, or your registration page is down. All they have to do is send a message, and you know, I instantly say thank you for letting us know. We will work on that immediately, and you know, it makes people feel heard and cared about, and instead of bitching about you on Twitter, they go, oh wow, they listen to me. And of course, you do have to follow up by then waking up the webmaster and say, hey, the reg is down, get on that now, and you know, ask me how I know this. and as soon as it's up, you know, okay, we think it's fixed now. Give it a shot. Let us know if you're still having problems.
Social media is not foolproof.
Nothing is.
Yeah, there's a convention for mystery fiction called DrCon. I've attended. I found out in part through their website and in part from exchanging emails with someone who used to be on the committee named Sally. And Here's a nice one. At one point, website went down. Had no idea how to contact anyone because I had to go through the website to know how to do it. Didn't know how to do anything. Luckily, I had emails between me and Sally Safe for the sake of,
Well, you could do,
of looking at what he wrote to me. So I just
now, because there's so many different platforms, if the website's down, you can use Twitter, Facebook, or wherever they are and say, hey, your website's down, which is a good thing.
Well, for me, social media has been a very good positive thing, because when I started my podcast and I started making some contacting some different Facebook groups related to sci-fi, especially in Latin America, and what I found out that downloading was getting a little more than I expected, and I have received a lot of feedback from different countries, Spain, Mexico, Chile, just to name a few, of course, the US. And to me, it's a good thing. There's sometimes going to be little negative stings, if you will. That's what I like to call them. And saying, "Oh, I did it like this. This blog wasn't good. Whatever, blah blah." But instead of maybe looking at it maybe as a troll or a hell, whatever, I found that like maybe a little constructive thing. So if there's someone that maybe didn't like what I posted, maybe or my episode wasn't that good or something happened, you know what? I'll take that suggestion under consideration and let's do it again. Let's see what happens. Let's try to turn that thing negative into a little more positive, and maybe next time, it's gonna work. And that's the way that I see it. And to me, it's I don't like to call it a promotional tool, but in a way, is in a way helping me, and also is contacting me a lot of people that they are also into sci-fi, and we can share the same ideas, and that's what I really enjoy about social media. That's what I find, that this is a big blessing, if you will, and it's a great tool, regardless any application. I don't even Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. I'm sharing that message. I'm sharing those different news that I'm receiving every day. The latest one, unfortunately, Stanley's wife passed away yesterday, Joan Lee. God bless her soul. And I found that on the same Facebook. And when I found that, I said, okay, I gotta post this because this is news, not a positive one. But it has to be heard, it has to be shared. So it's an important matter, it's an important subject. So that's in a way that I think of social media, in a positive way.
Well, constructive criticism is great. If somebody has something constructive to say, I would 100 times rather they tell me about it than bitch on Twitter or complain to their friends. Because if they come to me, I can solve the problem if it's solvable, or if it's not solvable, I can explain, okay, I really wish we could do that, but it would involve a $100,000 renovation to the hotel, and it's not happening. That is a true thing that happened.
A lot of the times, though, when you have negative things happen on social media, people say things on social media they wouldn't say to your face. They just do. It's and one of the things that I've learned over the 20 years that I've been involved with the internet, with sort of talking to people on the internet and being spoken to on the internet and talking back to people on the internet and all that, is that a lot of the time, a lot of what people want specifically is not necessarily to get an answer, but to know that they've been heard.
Yes.
Exactly. I think that one of the most comforting, one of the most common coins of our shared humanity is the idea that if somebody, even if they don't agree with you, if they listen to you and you feel like you've been understood, you walk away from that interaction maybe not having settled your grievance, but having come to some moment of connection, and it's going, okay, this person, maybe they're not going to do what I want them to do, and they're not going to change or whatever, but I feel that we've heard each other, we've understood each other, and at least that way we can coexist, we can both occupy the same space without killing each other. And one of the things that I've learned in terms of things like fan rage, in terms of things that are on television, politically and all of that, is that sometimes the correct thing is to enter into social media not expecting to get what you want, or even what you need, but sometimes if it works out, you get a sense of, well, at least they listened, you know, or not even at least, or, oh my God, they listened, you know. And oftentimes that's enough for a lot of people. It's just to know that your difference is accepted.
And there are times when maybe you don't have all of the information. I remember one time I was talking with a couple of people, and I expressed feelings that, you know how sometimes if there's a criminal trial, the alleged victim's identity is shielded different to seek that person's privacy? Well, what about the accused, unless and until the person's been convicted, because there are times when a person's the accused's identity is out there, and it turns out that he or she's the wrong person. What happens then when everyone knows, oh, he's been accused, or she's been, and I was told that there's a good reason why the accused's identity is revealed for the sake of the government not, this way the government cannot lock you away for who knows how long and keep you waiting for your trial for months, years, decades. So I walked away having learned something.
Yeah. So I think one of my frustrations with social media is how it can sort of be an aggregator for negativity, and sort of if you guys have sort of specific strategies for what happens when it all catches on fire.
Well, okay, the most important strategy is to put out the fire when it's still smoldering. Once it's a fire, you're screwed. I mean, you can mitigate it, there's a lot of stuff you can do, but the absolute best strategy is to jump on it really quickly. And I agree, I can't say how much I agree with, I forgot your name.
Javi.
Right, Javi. That the most important thing to do is jump on it quickly, listen, make sure the person feels heard, and try to do whatever you can. It may not be what they want or need, but do as much as you can to try to at least make them feel heard and cared about. And that will mitigate most of it, because you know, once they feel heard, for most people that takes away the need to rant on Twitter.
The first rule of we will get to your question here. I don't want you to get tired. The first rule of public relations is go ugly early. And what that means is that if you're at fault for something, admitting to it, owning the narrative, and is the best way to put out a fire that's either raging or about to rage. So you
response.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and,
well, but also,
yeah. For the love of whatever you hold dear, if you've made a mistake, do not double down and defend it.
Yeah.
Admit it. You made a mistake. You're sorry. Here's how you'll try to do better.
A quick, honest response.
Yes.
Go ugly early.
Chris,
well,
and then
not a question, but the thing to remember, and it's what makes the social media platforms really useful, but it's also why you get these fires, is underneath them that they're just math, and that math is their feedback loop. It's the same math that goes behind you hold that microphone up to the speaker, and it's just knowing that that's what it is. It feeds on itself, and it's cyclic, and some platforms try to do positive feedback loops, some weight the positive and negative equally, and some don't care if you hold a microphone to a speaker. So that's